I think we played with no spirit, with no personality, and it's just like weak performance from us, honestly. So uh, yeah, we just played with no personality.
Just one night after their dramatic overtime win against the Clippers, the Boston Celtics suffered their worst loss of the season against the Los Angeles Lakers. It was a disastrous night for the Celtics. They didn't seem to have enough gas, and they fell behind early and never seemed to be able to make up the gap. Once again, the Celtics blow a lead of the season in a collapse against the Rockets. That was the 9th time this season that the Celtics had a fourth-quarter lead. This time, it was 12 points, and found a way to lose. That matches the number of blown fourth-quarter leads Boston had all of last season, and we're past the midpoint of this season. It was also the 7th time this season that Boston has blown a double-digit lead. And none of that counts games in which Boston hung on to win, despite late-game struggles. It would be easy to ignore the Celtics' defensive blunders down the stretch against Houston. Bad games and bad moments happen to every team a few times a season. After all, Boston was showered in champagne last June, so it's tempting to write off this game and their recent slump as a simple mid-season malaise. Except poor late-game execution is not just a one-game issue for Boston. While the Celtics, second place in the East, remain one of the favorites to win it all, these couple of months have been the worst they've played for an extended stretch since the start of last season. They struggling to find their rhythm on both ends of the floor, with inefficient offense and defensive lapses proving costly. No one in Boston is panicking yet, but it has a lot of people wondering, what is wrong with the Boston Celtics? Repeating in the NBA isn't easy these days. There's a reason no team has gone back-to-back since the Golden State Warriors in 2017 and 2018. The defending champs have a target on their backs every time they take the floor and usually get hit with an opponent's best effort. But when you're taking a closer look, the Celtics are synonymous with three-pointers at this point, and they started the season by tying the NBA record for made threes in a game with 29 in a blowout win over the New York Knicks. They've had a few other huge nights from beyond the arc, but have often struggled to find the shooting success that sustained them on their run to the title. While they still lead the league in attempts per game by a wide margin at 49.1, they've made just 36.2% of them, which ranks 16th in the league. During the Celtics' 14-game skid, their 7-7 record has been accompanied by even more erratic shooting. Their 35.3% shooting clip from three-point range ranks 22nd in the league. In 6 of those games, they shot under 30%. For the entire 2023-24 season, they had only 12 such outings. For the most part, they're still creating good looks, but for one reason or another, they're not going down. They're generating nearly the same number of open and wide-open threes as last season, but they've been ice-cold lately, especially on open looks. You would expect that to change at some point, but even if they eventually snap out of this slump, there's no guarantee that they return to last season's form. And that could be an issue come playoff time given how much they rely on the three-pointer. The Celtics' other trouble is that they are failing in the fourth quarter. There have been concerns about the Celtics' play late in games dating back years, but they seem to put the issue behind them last season when they had the 6th best winning percentage in clutch games and won a perfect 6-0 in them during the playoffs. Recently, however, they've had some major issues in the fourth quarter. Way back in December, when this poor run of form started, they have a -3 net rating in the fourth and are shooting 45% from the field in the final frame, marks which rank 18th and 20th in the league. The fourth quarter issues have been varied. There have been instances, such as their loss to the OKC Thunder when they shot 3 of 18 and were outscored by 17 points, where the entire frame was a mess. On other occasions, like the disaster against the Hawks, they've melted down right near the end. In that one, they had the ball and a 3-point lead with 20 seconds left and managed to lose after a series of errors. Even with their recent woes, the Celtics are 12-8 in clutch games this season, a 60% winning percentage that's nearly right in line with last season. They haven't suddenly forgotten how to win, but they do need to do a better job maintaining their focus for a full 48 minutes. Another factor is that the Celtics seem to have fallen victim to the dreaded championship hangover during this slump. The night-to-night intensity and effort that fueled their 64-win campaign last season has gone missing. Stretches like this in the middle of the season are common for a team trying to defend its title. The Celtics were playing until mid-June last season, had 3 key players spend all summer in Paris with Team USA at the Olympics, then opened training camp early before heading to Abu Dhabi for a pair of preseason games. If all goes to plan, they have another 5 months of basketball remaining this season, so it's no surprise that they've tried to coast for a while. And they probably could have gotten away with it if they hadn't stopped making threes at the same time. Another Celtics focus of concern is the disappearing Derrick White. It's important to state that the Celtics' downturn is not the fault of any one player. They've all had poor performances and made mistakes over this stretch. So then why single out Derrick White? For one, White's had a particularly tough time. He's appeared in 13 of their 14-game slump and has averaged 12.5 points on 41.4% shooting from the field, including 33.6% on 3, 3.3 rebounds, 2.9 assists, and 2 turnovers. His outside shooting has fallen off a cliff, and he hasn't been nearly as impactful in other areas of the game. After returning from a 1-game absence due to an illness, White scored in single figures for 3 consecutive games and went 1 of 18 from behind the arc along the way. Since December, the Celtics have been plus 5.3 points per 100 possessions better with White off the court. When White isn't at his best, neither are the Celtics. Furthermore, White's emergence as a borderline all-star last season was one of the primary reasons the Celtics went from a very good team to an unstoppable one. In addition to his stellar defense, he shot a career-high 39.6% from three-point range and offered the Celtics a third reliable on-ball creator behind Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown. There were stretches in full games, even in the playoffs, where he could carry the offense if one of those two was struggling. That was a lot of doom and gloom for the Celtics, which is currently the 3rd best record in the NBA. The Celtics are also the only team in the league to rank in the top 5 in both offensive and defensive efficiency this season. And the team can still kick some serious behind, as we saw in their 40-point win over the Warriors, a 27-point win over the Magic weeks ago, and a 37-point win over the Pacers. So don't go breaking the glass and smashing that panic button just yet. The Celtics can absolutely turn this around, and despite these current struggles, they remain a favorite to be the last team standing this summer. But the concern is that the Celtics have been consistently inconsistent for nearly 2 months and are developing some bad habits in the process. A turnaround might not be as easy as flipping a switch, especially with the Eastern Conference much more competitive than it was last season. The Cavaliers are the cream of the crop right now. The Knicks are nipping at Boston's heels, and the Bucks have turned things around. The Celtics may see that they have a tougher road ahead this summer and have put things in cruise control during the middle of the season. But with each no-show or blown lead, the confidence dwindles just a little more. The hope and the need for better basketball is growing, and the remedy would be a big stretch of winning. The Celtics remain confident in themselves, as they should. They put it all together last season and remain optimistic they'll get back on track this year. So far this season, the Celtics have mostly risen to the occasion. They're still one of the teams with the best record in the league right now, so it's not like they've completely fallen off a cliff. But the effort has been severely lacking, and Boston's performance has completely faltered. Tatum and Brown haven't been playing to their full potential, and something seems really off with the team's offense. The Celtics need to snap out of their funk and get back on track. We're more than halfway through the season, and Boston's struggles are becoming harder to dismiss. We're still a long way from the summer, but it would be real nice if the Celtics could put it all together sooner rather than later.